All right, what is going on and how y'all doing today on a Friday, September the 16th? We are here live in Atlanta Bird Gang, also on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Glad that everyone could jump in and join us. We are here for an abbreviated version of the picks for week 2. Didn't get a chance to jump in here as early as I would like to, but I would be remiss if I didn't discuss the upcoming week, especially the matchup this week with the Atlanta Falcons versus the defending champions, the Los Angeles Rams, this week in the Rams' home stadium, which has really turned out to be a home stadium for every team that's gone in there. I don't know how well Atlanta will travel out to California, but I know a lot of times people on the West Coast strips try to make it. I'm pretty sure there are going to be a lot of people in the Pacific Northwest to check out that Seahawks game next week. But right now we talk about week 2. And right before I came on, we got some semi-breaking news. I don't think it was that much of a stretch for me that Damian Williams is not going to play this game. So I'm going to make the assumption that we're going to see a little bit of Tyler Algier for the first time in an Atlanta Falcons uniform in a regular season game this year. That should be interesting. They did sign someone else on the practice squad yesterday to, I guess, fill a hole in the running back position. But yes, there will be no Damian Williams Sunday. So I don't know if that changes a lot. Hopefully we run the ball as successful as we did against New Orleans. This is kind of a little bit of different beast with the defensive front because you have arguably the best player in the NFL in Aaron Donald that you have to get through. I'm pretty sure they realize he's there. So let's hope that there is a game plan to get through to him. Overall, when I think about this game, that's where I think the game is going to be won, in the trenches. Do you think the Falcons can penetrate that defense, or can we hold up enough to give Marcus Mariota an opportunity to make some downfield throws? Can we give him as clean of a pocket as we gave him against New Orleans? Those are some keys. And on the flip side, the defensive line, who showed some really good push during the first half of the game last week against the Saints. Can we continue that trend? Obviously, stretch it out 4 quarters. And can we extend that trend on a team that's actually hurting on the offensive line with a new center and a new tackle, if I'm not mistaken, that the Rams are going to come into this game with? Can we take advantage of those particular missing pieces from the Rams and do anything with them? It's going to be a very key matchup. Cooper Kupp against, I'm assuming, AJ Terrell out there. AJ and Hayward, who had some so-so moments last week. One play does not make a game as far as getting beat sometimes, but I know Dean P spoke about it, that, they played some wrong technique on a couple of those plays and got beat. So let's see if they can improve that. And going up against, I think, a receiver who's probably on the top of his game right now in Cooper Kupp, Don't forget about Allen Robinson, still in the mix over there as well with the Rams. Tyler Higbee is someone to be reckoned with as far as the tight end is concerned. And a running game that I don't think is better than anything New Orleans was doing, but Devery Henderson was actually running the ball pretty strong last week. So I don't want to dismiss him as well. So I think it's going to be a pretty good matchup all along. Coming into the season, this is one of those games that you say, no way we're going to go in here and, upset the apple cart and beat the Rams. But hey, one weekend, I know the Rams played the Bills, but there were some things that I saw that might be a little deficient on the Rams' part. Is Stafford 100% with that elbow? Is that elbow truly back to form where he can make those passes downfield? Or can we bother him a little bit with some pressure? I think we can. This might end up being a little closer than you think. If I'm not mistaken, I think the point spread was 10 points. If I was in Vegas right now, I would take that. I'm not sure about an outright win for us. I am rooting and hoping that we can pull it through, but I'm just not seeing the Rams right now unless we just completely fall on our face and start making some very bad mistakes. I don't see them as a 10-point favorite over our team. I do still see them as a team to be reckoned with, and as long as you still have Aaron Donald, you've got to look at, on paper, the Rams to be the favorite in this game. Joining us on Uncle Steve's Lounge is John. What's going on, brother? How you doing today on this glorious Friday? If you're down here, few clouds, but nice weather. I think they said it's not going to rain here for the next week or so, and the heat is supposed to get back up just a little bit. So enjoy the weather if you're on this side of the United States. What's up, brother? Say TY25 gonna have at least 60 yards. Book it. Listen, I hope he does. And he's back playing on his side of the country where he was at BYU over on the West Coast. And let's hope that he has some fond memories of doing some things over there. So I look for some good things out of him, maybe some stuff out of the backfield. Just give us that same offensive line output that you gave us against the New Orleans Saints, and I think we'll have some chances. Again, I'm not foolish. I realize number 99 is on the other side. So I'm not suggesting that we're going to have a 100% clean game. I am expecting somebody to come in there with sacks. If somebody is double teaming Aaron Donald and somebody else gets a sack, that's not going to shock me either. So let's just do the best we can, hold up just enough so we can get our plays done, and let's get this W, man. Let's go ahead. There's no reason why we can't win this game Sunday. So let's go out there and improve on what we did on week 1 and keep it moving. Rusty's joining us here on Friday. Rusty says, I just have a bad feeling about this game. If we win, the defense, we will need to lead. I'm sorry. If we win, the defense will need to lead the way. I'm just not sold on Marcus. I didn't love what I saw last week. I'd seen last week what he had been his whole career. But like every Sunday, I will be sitting in front of my TV, pulling for my birds and yelling at the TV. Well, here's the thing. I don't want anybody to think we don't remember the things we were pointing out in preseason and just maybe a week before the Saints game. If you're sitting here thinking Marcus Mariota is going to be this grand savior or this Kurt Warner from the grocery store to the Super Bowl story, I'm not sure you're fooling yourself. I think you're fooling yourself. That's what I should say. Marcus Mariota was brought in here to be a stopgap. Nothing more. He did some good things last week. And as we saw, he also did some things that were costly last week. There was nothing he did in that game that I truly wasn't expecting. I expected him to use his legs. I expected him to extend plays. Only thing I didn't expect him to do was turn the ball over like he did. That was a little bit careless, and I'm sure he'll clean that up. I'm sure he will. And hopefully we move on. That's why you go from game to game. Folks, we got 16 more of these things. And I know everyone wants to encapsulate everything in the week one and how we lost and doom and gloom and everything like that. But you know what? The sun came out the next day and we're off to LA for another game. So I'm one of the people that say, yeah, don't get me wrong. Mariota did make some mistakes. He did do some good things. Folks, I'm not expecting him to be any more than a good game manager. If he can be a good game manager, he is good enough for us to win a few games this year. That's my thing. If you came in here thinking anything else, Rusty, which I know you're smarter than that, if you think he was going to be anything else, then shame on you because you weren't reading the tea leaves. But I don't think you're, that. John says, I'm in Riverdale. Okay, well, then you see the weather out there. Like I said, little clouds, but not bad at all. My brother Jeremy, how you doing, sir? Say if the Rams had won last week, I'd feel better about it. But the Rams is just as ticked off and looking for redemption as Atlanta is. And Jeremy, I'm not going to lie to you. I was actually spinning that narrative after the Buffalo lost the way they lost because Buffalo really slapped them around and really put them to it and embarrassed them on their home field on national TV. That was horrible. But here's the deal. We were in a pretty embarrassing spot as well. We let a team come back 17 points. We're just as upset. And we're just as ready to turn the page and go into the next game too. And I'll even take it one step further. Some of the things I saw, some of the deficiencies I saw in the Rams game were more glaring than some of the ones I saw in the Atlanta game. You have more people saying what happened with the Falcons and have more people saying, uh-oh, about the Rams. So I still say, yeah, the Rams probably are going to be a little ticked. They had a couple more days to think about it and all of that, and they're still at home. But I'm not gonna spin the narrative that just they're the only people ticked off. And I know you're saying the same thing, but I don't know. I'll punch a shot. So I think last week with New Orleans, I just think we had to pinch ourselves. I think we didn't. I thought we realized too late that we were better than that New Orleans team. And I think we were still playing so tight by the time we got to the fourth quarter that we didn't realize, we're actually better than these cats. And then just let it slip away. Lisa, how you doing? Said, let's go week 2. Absolutely. Turn the page. Let's get this thing over with and go on to bigger and better things. Hopefully a win this week. Say, grew up on the west side of Atlanta, Harper High School, 83. Yeah, brother, you are in the vicinity. Obviously, I was a Douglas High grad, so we were right next door. I actually went to Harwell. You're 1983, so you remember that. I went to Harwell early on and then went to Collier Heights by first grade and finished up Collier Heights and then Douglas High School coming out in 1987. So good to see you, Harper High Trojan. Good to see you in the house. Said we will show up this weekend. I hope so. I hope we do. Brother Clayton, what's going on, man? Good to see you here. And Atlanta Bird Gang, and also on Uncle Steve's Lounge. Again, we're going to do a little bit different this week. I'm going to be in YouTube exclusively during the game, doing a little live reaction. So I want you to support the stream and Atlanta Bird Gang. I think they always put it up. I think Sean Glover usually does a great job putting the stream up. And but I will also be streaming on YouTube. So if you want to stop in, say what's up, get us play-by-play, our reaction to what's going on in the game, in case you want to turn the TV down and just hear what we're talking about, we'll be in there live as well this week for the 4:00 game against the Rams. While we have time, let's quickly let's quickly go to our NFL schedule for this week and run down a couple of games and a couple of picks this week for the NFL. Of course, yesterday, the Kansas City Chiefs came back and defeated the Los Angeles Chargers 27-24. And boy, the Chargers were looking good. A little bit of hurt for Justin Herbert. He looks like he might be hurting a little bit again. Hopefully he will be okay. I hate when quarterbacks go down because that changes the whole thing about the team. I think the Chargers were my sleeper in the AFC because that first half, similar to what we were looking at yesterday, the first half they looked good, and then that interception pretty much turned the tide for them. Clayton says, game 2, let's see if they correct their wrongs or soak in it. This is the game to really focus on. If the same old Falcons, I absolutely agree with you, Clayton. We can easily, that same old Falcons narrative will not change until they start winning games. Till you start winning games and start finishing games, it's not going to change. So, yeah, we got to sneak a win out, whether it's this week, next week, but very soon before this fan base kind of phases us out. Because if we come off this West Coast with no wins and come back here 0-3 against the Browns, I think that stadium is going to be emptier than we think. All right, let's look at week 2 real quick as we have a little time to go here. New York Jets against Cleveland at 1 o'clock. Cleveland lost a heartbreaking game. No, I'm sorry. They won the game against, what I was thinking about? I was thinking about Cincinnati for 1 minute. Cleveland won the game against Baker Mayfield and Carolina, which is a good thing because we don't want Carolina to win too much confidence. New York looked like New York. Coach Salah kind of sounded like our guy here, Arthur Smith, talking about taking receipts. I'm like, dude, leave that stuff alone, man, and just coach the team. I look at Cleveland probably to take that and go to 2-0 tomorrow. Look at Cleveland to win that game. Washington at Detroit. Detroit, the sweethearts of Hard Knock this year, had a tough one last week against Philadelphia, almost giving up 40 points. Washington coming off the game last week, going on the road to Detroit. This might be one of Detroit's only chances to have a good game. They say this is the first game Detroit has been favored in over 2 years. I like Detroit in this game. Look for Detroit to win that against Washington. NFC South matchup, Tampa Bay at New Orleans. One of those matchups that I really don't care. Almost wish they went to a tie. But if I'm going to have to pick anybody, folks, and I'm sorry, this sounds like it's just sounds like I'm being a hypocrite. But I think the better team is the home team. But you know what? My heart's not going to let me pick them. I think they're the better team, and there's probably a good chance that they might win. But I'm going to pick Tampa Bay just for the fact of the worst of two evils. I just can't root for that team down there. Tampa Bay is hurting, though. They have a lot of wide receivers that are hurt this week, including somebody we're familiar with. Carolina goes to New York. New York, that gutsy call by the new head coach down there, Duvall, getting that win last week over Tennessee. That was gutsy. Look for New York to win again. And I tell you what, with Dak Prescott being on the sideline, it could get kind of interesting in the NFC East. So maybe some teams can build up some equity while Dak is sitting on the sideline. I'm sorry. I don't think Cooper Rush is that guy. Look for New York to go to 2-0. That would be huge, and I think they'll do it against Carolina. New England against Pittsburgh, another one of those that I really don't care because I'm not too crazy about either team. Of course, Pittsburgh losing TJ Watt to what they're saying might be late November, possibly. Even though he's not going to have surgery, but just a matter of how it heals. New England coming off a bad loss to the Dolphins down there in Miami last week. I look for Pittsburgh to probably have just enough to get by them at home, because I just don't think New England, as I told people before in preseason, I just don't think New England's that good. So I like Pittsburgh in this game. All right, as we said before, we're picking the games for week 2 here on the ESPN website. We pulled up here. Here's another one, Indianapolis, who has not won nor lost, and they're going at Jacksonville. Jacksonville, trying to tell y'all, man, the narrative is so interesting. You haven't heard a word about Trevor Lawrence. Nothing. Is Trevor Lawrence the guy? Trevor Lawrence, this team keeps losing. When is the criticism going to come? I think it's gonna start today. I think it'll start this weekend. Indianapolis goes in, defeats Jacksonville. I think they're gonna bounce back. I don't say bounce back. They're still undefeated, so they'll get their first win, in my opinion, next week. Miami at Baltimore. 2 teams won their home opening games. Baltimore at home. I like the Ravens at home against Miami, though I do still think Miami is going to be a force to reckon with in the AFC East. I don't think they're as good as Buffalo, but I think they're the second best team in the East, in my opinion. Skip over, we'll say the Seattle Seahawks against the San Francisco 49ers. Questions about how Trey Lance are going to haunt the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan up there. Not a good showing. Though the field was a mess that day at Chicago. I don't know who could have looked great in there. It wasn't a high-scoring game. They go back to San Francisco, and if the weather is good, I look at San Francisco to get that first win. Seattle, I think it was an emotional win. The crowd was super into it because of the dynamics of Russell Wilson. Geno was efficient. He dinked and dunked. I know he did a couple of plays that the people were wide open. The tight ends hit the tight ends all day. I like San Francisco in this game in the NFC West. Cincinnati at Dallas. Cincinnati, heartbreaking loss to Pittsburgh last week in overtime. Had an opportunity to win that game, missed the field goal. McPherson, the hero of last year's playoffs. And I look for Cincinnati to bounce back against a Dak Prescott-less team in Dallas. I think it's going to be interesting, Dallas. I hope they don't rush Dak back in that particular game. I know they think he's going to be some miracle worker. Maybe they'll fly Benny Hinn in there and see what he can do. Is Benny Hinn still alive? Okay, if he is, maybe they'll fly him in and see what they can do. Oh, man, come back over here. I see Lisa says, like former Mayor Keisha says, anybody but the Aints. I never want them to win. Absolutely not. Rusty says, I'll be honest with you. I'm really not worried about the team as much as I am the coaching. Arthur Smith didn't even attempt to draw the Saints off sides on the 4th and 1. You should have went out there with a hard count, even if you had no intention of snapping the ball. Worst case scenario, you could take a false start and move back 5. You took a delay a game. Anything to do with the same thing, simple things like that are taught in pot water. How's an NFL coach doesn't think of that is beyond me. Here's the thing, Rusty, and I know, listen, I'm not going to sit here and try to act like Coach Smith should be forgiven for anything. He said it during the press conference. At least he was honest enough to say it. He said in that moment he thought he would run down the clock, kick it back, and thought they didn't have any timeouts. Maybe this defense would hold up. I mean, I was thinking this. It's funny you mentioned the part about trying to draw off sides. I would have went one step further. I would have tried to draw them off sides first. Then I would have called a timeout and still would have tried to go for it on 4th and 1. Because again, you're talking about plays that will win the game. So it's easy for us to all say what we would do in the moment. That's a tough deal. I'm not making excuses for him, but I am saying he said it. He said it himself. He said it himself that if he had a chance to do it again, he'd probably do another scenario. Go back and listen to the press conference on Monday. That he said it, not making it up for him. I think if he runs into that situation against the Rams, I think it would behoove you to probably punt. because I trust us getting that yard last week against a team we ran 200 yards against, rather than a team that historically their front four is just a monster. Get back here. We got Houston going to Denver. Houston with the surprise win this past week. Denver losing, of course, that emotional game, Russell Wilson's homecoming back to Seattle. I think this is Russell's first game. This will be Russell's first game in Denver. Look for Denver to make amends for that loss up in the Pacific Northwest. I look for Denver to win that game. Arizona goes to Las Vegas. Las Vegas could not repeat that magic they had against the Chargers last year and lost that first game. I look for Vegas to pull off the win against Arizona. It's kind of interesting. They'll see Arizona. Yeah, you don't want to start 0-2 in that NFC West. So I think this is a big one for Arizona, but I don't think they're going to take it in Vegas. Look for Vegas to win that game. And then the 8 o'clock game on Sunday night, it will be Chicago against a very average-looking Green Bay team. Do they truly miss Devontae Adams in that offense? I tell you, they're missing something. And Aaron Rodgers to lose 2 games in a row to start the season, I wouldn't bet on it. I look for Aaron Rodgers to come out strong and win that game against Chicago on Sunday night. 2 Monday night games this week. Tennessee lost that heartbreaker against the Giants. And then Buffalo, who looked like the best team in the NFL, I think it still keeps moving in that direction. Look for Buffalo to go 2-0 and win that game. Minnesota travels to Philadelphia. Both teams 1-0. Both teams look well. Minnesota looking good, taking out Green Bay at home. But Green Bay struggles sometimes in Minnesota. Philadelphia look good against the Detroit team. Let's see how they look this go round against a better team, I think, in Minnesota. I think I like Minnesota to win this game going into Philadelphia. Last but not least, we got the Atlanta Falcons against the Los Angeles Rams. Folks, I'm rooting for the Atlanta Falcons with every ounce of what I have in my body. However, I just think it's going to be a tall task. Vegas has the point. I think the last one I saw was 10.5. I don't think the Rams will cover that. They have some struggles on that offensive line, but I do think the Rams are just flat out the better team. So if I did have money, again, I would take the Falcons. But as far as a straight up win, I'm not sure. I look at this as a low scoring game. Let's say Rams 20, Falcons 17. Let's hope it bounces in Atlanta's favor. These are the Super Bowl champions. And again, they are definitely looking to make amends for that horrible start on last Thursday night. So again, 100% with the pom-poms on for the Falcons, but not seeing them take that. I hope I'm wrong. This is the one pick I hope I'm wrong about this week. I am absolutely going 100% for the Falcons. Hey, let's see what happens. Until then, folks, got to get up out of here. I will catch you all on Sunday on YouTube, Uncle Steve's Lounge. Y'all make sure y'all check us out. And I'll pop in on Sunday at 7:30 or after the Falcons game to talk a little bit about the hopeful upset of the Rams. But either way, we'll talk about it on Sunday evening. Until then, y'all take care, and we'll catch y'all later on. Peace. Great Friday.